Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to.
Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical, transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. My name is Jay, and this is Pod 135, and we're back today to talk about our Season 8 topic of the 13 Ghost Points, which has been going on for a while now here. And as always, I have my co-host, Leader Herman, here with me to help us get through these Ghost Points today.
Welcome back, Inspired Actioneers. Yes, the 13 Ghost Points are all about how you can be living more authentically in your life. And in our last podcast, we talked about how you can become more true to your heart and even true to the road you want to walk in your life. And in this episode, we're going to go much deeper into the things that are related to your sleep, namely the points called ghost pillow and ghost bed.
So don't fall asleep.
Yes.
We're going to try to take you on this journey today. So Stay awake. Go get your favorite pillow.
Yes.
But not the ghost pillow.
Yes. And symbolically, these points, they don't actually represent your pillow or your bed.
There goes my joke.
But more about your deepest thoughts and feelings, the things that you're unconscious about, and the things that you obsessively think about.
All right, so go get your favorite pillow, lay down on your bed, but we're going to have deep thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
We're going to have conversations about that because we're not very aware about what's unconscious to us. It's a little bit harder to talk about this work in your life on a regular basis. So maybe you can hug your pillow or get your favorite whoopee.
Yes.
We're going to go deep. We're going deep. But wait, we can't go deep yet until we tell everyone what's going on and the podcast and the Alchemy Learning Center because we have so much going on. And we're going to do the short version here.
Okay. Well, first, I just want to invite all of our Inspired Action Podcast listeners to come check out our new podcast, 5 Element Fridays.
When's that on, Lita?
That comes out on Friday.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That is just amazing.
We're so excited to bring this new podcast to the world because, we've really appreciated that all of you have really enjoyed our 5 element conversations. And we thought it really needed its own podcast.
It's just a little weekend primer to get you thinking about the 5 elements, thinking about yourself, have a little bit of fun, do some people watching. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very contagious.
Yeah. And that's a place where we can just dive deep into the 5 elements. And, it's good for people who might not be as interested in some of the concepts of alchemy in the Inspired Action Podcast, but they love, learning about energy, learning about elemental types, things like that. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
And we also have a live event that goes with that on Fridays called what, Lita?
5 Element Fridays.
What? When is that?
That comes out at 5 o'clock Eastern time.
On
alchemylearningcenter.com.
On what day? Friday. And what's it called again?
5 Element Fridays.
Yeah, so it's every other week at 5 o'clock, and that's the day the podcast hopefully drops. So we have the podcast in the morning, then we have the event, and we kind of have the same topic if we time it right, and so we talk about that conversation. So if you want to join the conversation of the podcast, that's the other unique feature is you can have some interaction with us and our other students from all over the world about the topic that we're talking about. Or sometimes we just talk about all kinds of things. So you just never know what we're going to do. But you can join other 5 elements all over the world. And if they're members of the Alchemy Learning Center, we call them Alchemists in Training. Again, alchemylearningcenter.com. We have so much going on, classes, webinars. We just did a really cool giant webinar on releasing chaotic energy with one of our students, one of our master apprentices, Diego Garcia in San Diego. That was just so much fun. We had a lot of fun with that. A lot of people came. It was just great. So we're going to have more of those. We're going to have one every month or so.
Yes.
We're going to try.
Yep. And we have Meditation Mondays there as well, live events.
What's Meditation Monday and when is that on?
It's on Monday.
What? Who's coming up with these really great ideas? Meditation Monday. I love that. So tell us more about that.
Well, basically, we are going through the many alchemical meditations that we teach and we have available in the Alchemy Learning Center.
I thought you were just going to say we meditate on Mondays.
Yes.
We do alchemy meditations from people all over the world. And we have some of our students and our master apprentices students come and they just join us and they're so wise and we love it and we have fun.
Yeah.
And that's also growing pretty fast too.
Yeah.
So
And that's
again,
at 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Right. So that's 1 hour later than
Every
the
other
5
Monday.
Element Friday.
Yes.
On the the opposite week of the 5-Element Friday.
Yes.
Yes. So that's going to be coming up. If you're listening to this live, just go to the alchemylearningcenter.com and find it and see what event you want to come to.
Yeah.
And what else we have going on, Lita?
Well, I just want to remind people that now would be a really great time for you to pause this episode and rate and review our podcast.
Oh, if you like any second of any of our other podcasts, that would be fantastic. Because it helps people all over the world find us and listen to us. And the more people that are talking about alchemy, the world's a better place.
Yes.
Just my thoughts.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to the podcast and start talking about the ghost points. And let's go.
All right. So we're coming back to this idea that we all have many unconscious beliefs, and working with them can be a little tricky because they're unconscious.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And typically they're unconscious for a reason because they often relate to past experiences. And maybe they weren't, they were difficult experiences. In our last episode,
What number was that?
134,
Just checking.
we talked about the role of your heart protector and that it's trying to make sense of all the bad things that happen in your life. It's trying to find ways to think about these things that allow you to continue to function in your life.
And some of these are not always pleasant memories. So if someone betrayed you and you have a debilitating heart pain about that, then it's up to your heart protector to figure out a way for you to go on, a way for you to continue to have a life, to be in the world somehow.
Yeah, and it's not easy. The heart protector might come up with many different sort of lessons it's learned on how to interpret the events of your life. And then whatever you decided back then about life, this might allow you to bury that pain that you had. And in Chinese medicine, we say that you repress it. You put it deep inside and specifically into your waist belt channel, which is called the daimai in Chinese medicine.
Yeah, we have a whole Chinese medicine class about the daimai in the alchemylearningcenter.com, which explains how when you stuff a lot of things, emotions, events, all these things that, are happening in your life, maybe not in a great part of your life, and your body just needs to create some storage areas for this emotional, these negative toxins, so to speak, emotional. And that little X around the middle, guess what? That's where the compartment is. They just go stuff. That's where it goes.
Yeah. And it does.
You like my technical description of that?
Yes, that was very good.
Stuff around the waist.
Stuff around the waist. And it does often come with some accumulation around the waist, like you said. And that's often a sign that you might be storing some of these pains when there's a little accumulation around the waist. But here's the thing. We often suppress our feelings, and that means we put some of our feelings into our subconscious. We store them away, but we can easily access them whenever we want. But some things are just too painful, so we put them deeper. We repress them, and that means we don't have much access to them. It's as if we transferred them into, like, to borrow a crypto phrase, we put it into cold storage.
Okay, that's good. I mean, it's, we also call that a cold wallet, if you're not familiar with the crypto world. And it's kind of like you take it offline, you put it in a device, you store it away. There's passwords, there's codes, you just not easy access. I like that. You brought that into the modern now.
I know. You could also just think of it a more old school, like a safety deposit box at the bank.
No, let's go with the crypto. Okay. Emotional cryptocurrency on the blockchain.
Right. But whatever happens, you're going to go through a bunch of hoops to get at it, to withdraw it. So these are your repressed emotions, and they're in your cold wallet. And that's what Ghost Pillow is about. It's about those things you just don't easily access, but you might have dreams at night about them, like repetitive dreams about a theme of some type of insecurity you feel.
I was just thinking about a ghost pillow would be like a cold pillow, maybe, right?
Yes.
So your cold pillow. I'm just thinking, you got me thinking about the crypto now, the cold storage, the cold wallet.
I mean, I think a good example of this kind of like repetitive dream, like some people, like they always feel like they're late for class and they can't find the room and they have this sense of panic and they're like going to get into trouble. That would be like an example of like what are those feelings about? It's about insecurity, fear of judgment, being wrong. So these are the kinds of things that can get stored deep down. So to work with this ghost points theme, you can look back at some of your repetitive dreams. But not all of us remember dreams. And in Chinese medicine, there is even a theory that you don't want to overanalyze your dreams because they're kind of meant to be unconscious. So instead, with this point, we recommend a bit of meditation or at least contemplation.
Yes, and that's a quiet, still time where you're bringing your attention to your belt channel.
Yes.
Right? Bringing into that waist area or below your belly button area and open up whatever emerges from that area. So that would be the focus of the meditation into that lower dantian, right?
Yeah, and you're asking yourself, what are my unconscious beliefs? What are the things that I don't think a lot about, but deep down, I really do believe these things? Like some people say, whenever good things happen, I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
That would be an unconscious belief. That would be something that you just always feel, but you don't really think about it. You just have that feeling where you're always on the lookout. Where's that other shoe going to drop?
I know. Who's losing all the shoes?
Yeah,
right?
really.
And who's got them hanging above dropping? But no, I'm joking. It is a serious thing. And I just want to, make a little bit light of it. But an asterisk on this is like, go slow. If you haven't done this kind of work before, go slow.
Yeah. And, sometimes memories come out. And if they come up, you can examine them for a bit. And
emotions can come up.
Yeah. Whatever comes up as you're contemplating or meditating, one of the things we like to do is release it. Send it to heaven and earth, like energetically. Send it above, send it below. It's about purging some of these repressed memories and feelings and emotions out of this area. And that's what Ghost Pillow does.
We have a very basic version of this meditation in stage 3 of Alchemy in the Learning Center called Sitting on the Eggs meditation, which does a lot of giving to heaven and earth, coming up and down, right?
Yeah.
And it works this lower dantian. But again, if you come to a meditation Monday, I'm not plugging meditation Monday, I'm just saying, we do these meditations as a group.
Yeah.
And the power of the group is just so powerful.
Yeah.
So if you haven't really done this work alone or with someone, this might be an opportunity to come and explore that part of it. But let's just keep going. I'm just saying.
And remember, as we go through the ghost points, we get deeper and deeper into these ghost points. This can be a little bit more advanced. I think if we want to just have you start out, you're just starting out, it's more about just asking yourself, what are my unconscious beliefs? It's actually not that hard a question.
Right.
If you really examine it, it's like, oh, you might not know why, you might not even remember why, but you might know that you always sort of have these feelings. And what are they? What are these unconscious beliefs about life? So that's Ghost Pillow. And what we want you to do eventually is release some of these unconscious beliefs that don't serve you, that are there because when you were younger, whatever negative life experiences happened, your heart protector came up with these ideas, and now they're not relevant anymore.
Yeah, and I think the word pillow here is a metaphor for support.
Yes.
Right? It was there created to support you.
Yeah, pillows support us. Ultimately, these unconscious beliefs can often relate to fear in general. And when we lie comfortably on a pillow at night, it often signals in our life that we're safe enough to close our eyes and fall asleep. And that means we're safe enough to let our guard down. So often these unconscious beliefs we're working on letting go of, it's about this sense of vigilance that many of us have in our lives and what it would be like to, as our authentic selves, to just let go of that guard that we have all the time. And when you're able to rectify this and understand Ghost Pillow, it's telling you that all is well in the world and you are safe to close your eyes and sleep deeply. So this is about the deepest sleep you can have, the kind of sleep that might be difficult to even wake up from. We all need to have deep sleep. And yet some of us, when we've had trauma, we can't allow ourselves to sleep that deeply. It's too scary. And we're lucky if we get some light, furtive sleep because our bodies just can't let their guard down.
And this could go on for like years and decades,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's a hypervigilance mode that gets lodged in the body, in the cells, and everything's fighting the natural urge to sleep deeply because the trauma makes you feel like it's too unsafe.
Yeah. So you can start to maybe think about examining your sense of support in the world, your own like metaphorical pillow there. Do you feel supported enough that you can let your guard down? And the truth is, you may not. So, again, the asterisk, go slow. Then meditating might help you understand where those feelings are coming from and even help you evaluate your heart protector's unconscious beliefs that were created about the events or the trauma or the emotions from the past. So, again, we're about examining your support. That could be your mini beginning of your homework.
And we like to say that you're older and wiser now. Those beliefs may no longer apply in your current life. Maybe things aren't as bad as they were in the past. Maybe you are truly safe right now, and it's time to work with the beliefs. In this case, we recommend working with your unconscious by using affirmations. So in our previous example, where maybe the dreams you're having, you feel this sense of insecurity, maybe you think you're going to fail or do the wrong thing or be judged. So you could find a mantra you could say to yourself. For me, when I was doing this work years ago, I realized that I had a fear of falling because I'd fallen so many times. And this made me feel unsafe while moving around in the world. So my mantra was so simple. It was just, I'm safe. I would repeat it all day long. And I did this for 2 years before it really sank in. I'd do it anytime I was doing anything that scared me. Walking downstairs, driving a car, in all the places where I felt some uneasiness about my safety.
Yeah, I think I am safe is very common. We use it a lot. I've used it myself for a long time as well, many years ago. So pick which one works for you, but that's a really good one to start with if you just can't think of one or one doesn't come from a download and you get your own. Use that one.
Yeah, and when you work with your unconscious mind, it responds really well to that repetition of a mantra, a thought, and it just takes time. So that's the ghost pillow theme of the ghost
So naturally, when we must move on to where? Where does the pillow go?
Yes, it goes on the bed.
Yes. So
that's
we're gonna make the bed here.
Yes. Now, these are about the thoughts that aren't the unconscious beliefs, but the active thoughts in your mind that won't let go, so you can't go to sleep at night.
Yeah, I think of the all of the obsessive thoughts, and most of us have some things we obsessively think about. We're specifically looking at the ones that might keep you up at night. You get the theme here, the pillow, the bed. Like if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're thinking about that coworker again, or what they said, or you can't let go of what the neighbor did, or that argument you had with a sibling or your partner. Those are the things that we're looking for this.
Or maybe it was something to do with your safety. Like maybe you had a near miss on the highway that freaked you out, or, something's just playing out over and over again in your mind.
Obsessively, yeah.
Yeah. And whatever it is, it doesn't matter as much, what it was. It's the fact that you're chewing on it. You're not letting it go. It's like your mind's trying to digest it, but your mind can't finish thinking about it. So this relates to the grinding of the teeth at night and the tension in the jaw, the TMJ. If you have that, that's a sign that you're doing this at night, even in your sleep, and it disrupts your ability to sleep well.
So with Ghost Bed, like Ghost Pillow, it's again about the overall theme, and in this case, subconscious beliefs that you have about them. You're not feeling at ease. You're worried that it's like a hamster wheel of this worry and thinking and worry and thinking. It just, causes you to think over and over and over. I think it's like the ghost point of Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it is. And in order to work with this point, at home, you'd have to actually choose to be a little vigilant with yourself. It's about asking yourself, what purpose does this thinking about this thing serve for me right now? Do I actually have to make a decision about something? Okay, that's cool. Then you can go make that decision and then go back to sleep.
These are some of the questions you can ask for the second part of your mini homework.
Yes. And so for homework with this point, you can require yourself to be a little more vigilant with yourself. It's about asking yourself, what purpose does thinking about this thing actually serve right now? For example, do you actually have to make a decision about something? Well, okay, then make the decision and go back to sleep.
That's a big one because if you start to stop the story for a second and go, hey, wait a minute, what is really going on here? That's a big one. Do I have to have enough information to make a decision?
Yeah, if you don't have enough information, can you do that in lying in bed at night? No, you're going to probably have to wait till tomorrow. So tell your mind that you will get the information you need to make that decision at the appropriate time, which is usually not 3 a.m. And so it's not the time to be thinking about it right now because you don't have all the information. So, this is a little bit the vigilance we're talking about.
Vigilant mind. And it's also good if you worry a lot. This is a good way to adjust your worrying level.
Yeah. And maybe there's literally nothing you can do about the situation, in which case you can tell your mind to stay quiet because there's really no reason to think about it. Or, in this case, you could even turn the situation over to what we call your spiritual concierge.
On the night shift.
Yes. Your divine manager who can do something about it for you.
While you sleep.
So you can let it go.
And as we get into these some of deeper themes, you can see how it might be useful to get some of these components, these tools and tricks and little things that we're trying to explain here to go along with this work.
Yeah. So once we get into the second half of the Ghost Points treatment, we're still talking about these hooks, and these hooks are starting to get much deeper and a little bit harder to release. And this is where getting an actual Ghost Points session would be very helpful if you feel like this is difficult to do on your own.
And if you're feeling like, again, this is like the asterisk, the beginner. If you feel like this is something you're in alignment, you could go to the Alchemy Learning Center. .com and look at our practitioners, or just shoot us an email and say, hey, we get emails every single day, at least 1 or 2 or 3 a day asking about the Ghost Points. So we can guide you in a way, find a practitioner in your area, or get you the information you need to discover because you're on the path, because that's why you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah. So let's do a recap of the homework.
Yeah.
First of all, it's about...
Look at you all, Miss Homework over there.
I know. First of all, it's about looking at some of your unconscious beliefs, seeing if you understand them, and then working with some repetitive positive statements that can begin to shift some of your negative unconscious thoughts. That's Ghost Pillow.
I know. And you say those words like it's so easy. Some people have never done that. So again, you have to dissect this and go slow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
You just have to go. I mean, that was beautifully said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. But to actually put that into, reality, and someone who wants to work on this alone, right?
Yeah.
Because, if you don't have a practitioner, you're doing this on your own. So again, if you look at that, Lita, what you just said, how can you break that down just a little bit before we do the ghost bed? So Ghost Pillow.
I mean, that's why, Jay, when we do these treatments, we take a whole day. We don't put a time limit on things because you really can't put a time limit on yourself with some of these things. They take time. And remember, I said I am safe to myself for 2 years before I felt safe. So some of these things are not immediate, but the Ghost Points themselves can help. And energetically, if you're finding it difficult to work with these concepts, then that's what we recommend.
I think that's an invitation to go deeper.
Yeah.
Right? So that's Ghost Pillow. I love that. And so for Ghost Bed, it's about recognizing your repetitive, obsessive thinking and working on it, applying some of the vigilance with your mind, the vigilant mind. I like to say, can you tell your mind that you will address the issue at the appropriate time? And now when you're trying to sleep is not that time. And it has this plagued you for, weeks, months, years, decades. And if there's nothing you can do at the actual moment, don't think about it anymore. Maybe have a journal by the bed. Maybe talk to someone. Maybe just start this process with yourself and see if you can get some relief.
That's a good point. If you have something by your bed, sometimes just writing it down, something you want to remind yourself about in the morning, maybe that's enough to let your mind let it go.
Yeah, you no longer have to think about it in that moment. I guess it's kind of like a little babysitting for your mind, right?
Yeah.
No longer let the kids run around after bedtime screaming, naked, jumping on the furniture, throwing toys, chasing the babysitter. The dogs are running to hide. Boom. It's just,
Yeah, that's really
just
funny.
kind of like let it go.
That's a perfect analogy of the babysitter. I could just imagine the babysitter like
Probably just scrolling in the corner, right?
Scrolling, yeah.
Mayhem and chaos
yeah.
and like TV blaring on the wrong shows. The kids are, right? One kid's in the fish tank, whatever, like complete chaos. And they're scrolling in the background.
Yeah, it's time for you to pay attention to those naughty kids in your mind and get them to go to bed and get some sleep. And it's time for you to be the authority with your own mind.
I like that. And that could be a goal. It doesn't have to be like today. It could be a goal. And then you'll have the more authentic life. So if you need to reach out to us, drop us an email at LitaInspiredActionPodcast.com, JInspiredActionPodcast.com. You can ask us any questions. We answer all questions ourselves because we have such a giant staff that they're always busy doing something else.
Yeah.
So we answer all of our questions that come into the world headquarters of the Inspired Action Podcast.
Yes.
So, all right, I guess that's it. So tune in next time, the next podcast episode, as we move into more things like the next self-cultivation step in the ghost points, which is...
Yes, the next one is about how you speak about yourself in the world and also about the center of your heart.
Which are two of the most important things that I work with when I work with people.
Yeah.
Those two have really come out clearly. Yeah. So again, we're not like, throwing down these like, you have to change, you have to do this. We're like your self-examination. Be the watcher of your own thoughts, your own minds. See if you're on the hamster wheel and if you want to get off.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Go hug your whoopee. You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there? We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at Lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or Jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog.